Have you ever heard the legend of the Kraken, the massive sea monster said to dwell off the coasts of Norway? Or perhaps you've heard of the Griffin, the fearsome beast with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. And who could forget the basilisk, that terrifying serpent whose very gaze could turn a man to stone? Well, these creatures may sound like they belong to a fantasy novel or a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, okay? But they're actually all part of a much older tradition, ancient roots. Hi, and welcome to Echoes from Antiquity, a series that explores the origins of famous legends, from the terrifying to the mythical and everything in between. And there is no better place to start than by talking about the legends that inspired some of our favorite modern horror stories. In today's video, we re-diving into the world of ancient monsters and myths to discover where some of the most famous legends in history came from and what they reveal about the people who created them. So grab your weapons, heroes, because it's time to go on an adventure back to the dawn of history. But before we dive into the murky depths of ancient lore, let me ask you a question. What do you think? What role did these ancient creatures play in the societies that created them? Were they simply a way to explain the unknown? Or did they serve some other purpose? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, let's turn our attention to the first of these ancient creatures, the mighty Kraken. Kraken is said to have been a colossal squid-like monster that lurked in the depths of the ocean. It was described as being so large that it could swallow whole ships and even islands, and its tentacles were strong enough to drag men under the waves. But where did this terrifying beast come from? Well, like many ancient creatures, the Kraken has its roots in folklore. It was originally described in a 12th century Norwegian manuscript as a sea monster that lived off the coast of Norway and was so large that it could overturn entire ships. Over the years, the legend of the Kraken grew and evolved, eventually becoming the massive squid-like creature that we know today. But the story of the Kraken isn't just a fantastical tale. It also reflects the fears and concerns of the people who lived in coastal communities in Northern Europe. In a time when fishing and seafaring were important ways of life, the Kraken represented the dangers that lurked beneath the waves, a reminder of the power of the sea and the fragility of human life. Next, let's take flight with one of the most majestic and fearsome creatures in mythology, the Griffin. The Griffin is a legendary creature with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. It was said to be a fierce and powerful creature that lived in the mountains of Ethiopia and was highly prized by the Egyptians as a symbol of strength and power. The Griffin first appears in Egyptian mythology around 3000 BCE, and it quickly became one of the most popular mythological creatures in the ancient world. Its image was used on coins, statues, and even tombs, and it was believed to be the guardian of sacred places and treasures. But the Griffin wasn't just a symbol of power. It also represented the connection between the earthly and the divine. As a creature with the body of a lion, a symbol of strength and courage, and the head and wings of an eagle, a creature that could soar to the heavens. The Griffin was seen as a link between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. And now, it's time to turn our attention to one of the most terrifying creatures in all of mythology, the basilisk. The basilisk was said to be a monstrous, serpent-like creature with a deadly stare that could kill its victims instantly. According to legend, the basilisk was the offspring of a cockatrice, a smaller, more common variant of the same creature, and a female hydra. And like its parent, the basilisk was a formidable opponent, able to grow to enormous size and breathe fire and venom. The basilisk first appears in Greek mythology around 400 BCE, and it quickly became one of the most feared creatures in the ancient world. It was said to live in the deserts of Arabia, and its venom was so deadly that it could kill a man in just a few seconds. But despite its terrifying reputation, the basilisk also had a certain allure. It was seen as a symbol of wisdom and immortality, and its image was often used in art and literature. But the fascinating thing about these creatures is that they're not unique to any one culture. Similar creatures appear in myths and legends all over the world. For example, the Norsemen had their own version of the Kraken, which they called the Half-Gufa, and the Greeks had a creature similar to the basilisk called the Amphisbaena. These similarities suggest that these creatures may have originated from a common source, such as a shared belief in the dangers of the natural world, or a common human fascination with the unknown. So there you have it, a glimpse into the world of ancient creatures and the myths that inspired some of our favorite horror stories. From the terrifying Kraken to the majestic Griffin and the fearsome basilisk. These creatures continue to capture our imaginations and remind us of the rich history of mythology. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more exciting adventures. And if you have your own theories about where these creatures came from, be sure to share them with us in the comments below. Till next time, keep exploring the world and all its mysteries. Who knows what ancient creatures you might find lurking in the shadows?